Hey there, I'm back with another video. It's 3:41 p.m. Monday, February 5th. Yeah, wow. Time is going by so fast. But I was sitting here thinking, as I've been doing a lot of, as we all know, right? You know, I'm I understand that some people don't understand my objectives in life, and this is what causes a lot of tension and a lot of controversy because there's a lot of people who feel like, Maria is in their little clique. Okay, and I do appreciate the people who support me. I'm very, very grateful. Okay, but they don't understand my objective. Okay, my objective, I understood, like, everybody knows my history. Okay, but I understood a long time ago that somehow or another I was going to be in a situation where I had to take care of myself. I always knew that, right? So this is it. People keep thinking that, because some people, they understand, like, what goes on behind the scenes that I have yet to discover or even question. Um, but, you know, I've always had to make that a priority. And I know it doesn't make a lot of sense to a lot of people, but, I always knew that once I got to a certain age, my mom's going to be too old. If something bad happens, I don't have a backup plan. I don't have a backup plan. Okay. And the reason why I don't have a backup plan just recently became understood to me, because of me unraveling how I even came into existence, okay, which that's the big root of the problem, right? Because I'm not really the biological child of those people. It was kind of a setup or whatever. So I was pretty much dealt a hand in life that was, one of those, kind of a tragedy, really, when you think about it. I think there, like, yeah, I know that the whole idea of cloning is very controversial among a lot of people, and I can see why, because really, it's got a very strange turn to it. It's got some really good, cool parts about it, and the bad parts are really, really fucking bad about it. Okay, um, because obviously, it's always some sort of controversy of your existence, who and what you are. In this case, I think they the people who are kind of targeting me, to me, they were concerned about my abilities and me being, somebody who was against religion and all this other stuff. So my targeting, my life, my backstory, my experiences are very unique to the majority of people. Okay, now there are some people who've dealt with human trafficking, like I said, who've, have been smuggled across state lines or something. They have different stories where they actually physically got, but it's all considered human trafficking. Why? Because you're being guided, directed, shifted into certain directions against your will. Okay? They could set things up to where, like, you know, you go to, your teenage daughter gets a job at McDonald's. And the reason why she gets a job at McDonald's is because, like, for example, an axe murderer has been watching her for a very long time, and he kind of arranges things behind the scenes with his friends who work there, right? She's a teenager with his friends who work there. And, his friends who work there just think, oh, it's a little crush or whatever, but he could actually set it up to where, and God, this is not my case specifically, okay, but these are the sort of things that go on in manipulated, trafficking issues and the possibilities of them. Like, we've talked about, people who've gone postal in workplaces and stuff like that. A lot of this really does relate to trafficking. They're not. I don't believe they're really digging into the whys. This person, why did this person go off on these people? You know what I mean? They will say, well, he was in conflict with some people. Where these, I really do suspect that people get bullied to the point of where they just snap, and rightfully so. For me to be 53 years old and still trying to maintain some semblance of, peace and normalcy in my life, is commendable. Mainly because I have every right to go off because of the injustice that I've experienced from the get go. You know what I mean? So, a lot of people don't understand my objective. I know there's people who always want to add their 2 cents worth in. I was dealing with a group, within this collective group. that my soul tribe, or whatever you want to call it, soul tribe, whatever, are associated with me. And so there's always like, well, I don't understand her objective. I think she should be doing this. This is about me. This one's manifesto is about me. Okay, it's about me teaching people information about the occult. Okay, different occult styles, also familiarizing people with, like, eclectic variety of things that they can choose from, and then talking about various topics on, different tools of magic systems, different magic systems in general, because there's several. Okay. Also, I do encourage people, to kind of look into who they are. Who are you? Because you do come from a long line of ancestors, even though they're not my ancestors, but you do come from a long line of people who valued the occult, which now been converted and watered down to some forms of religion, where it's not necessarily based on the metaphysics and the unknown, like the powers of the mystical force that we call God. Okay, it's not as deep as it used to be, as far as like when people get together. It's more, religion is more, what do you call it? It's more social. Okay, it tends to be more social. It has more of a secular feel to it. It doesn't seem, at least I'm talking about my experiences. Okay, it didn't seem sacred to me. Like, people literally act, the way they behave is like they didn't think that there was anything higher than them that they had to be in fear or awe of at all. Like, they just did what they did. Evil behavior type people, hypocritical, white down, whatever you want to call it. Okay, and these are my opinions. Okay, like I said, I've never been somebody who tried to convert people, but the Swan Song Manifesto is me discussing, how to learn different methods of the occult, okay, from different backgrounds, and then also coming up, encouraging people to come up with their own ideas, okay? And I'm teaching lessons and stuff like that. And I understand people like, well, I think she should let me be presented this way. I am presenting my day-to-day life routine. Everything is 100% authentically me. This is the reason why I am creating it. It's a part of what I'm leaving as my legacy that I have to record myself, because people like me, even though I'm not bragging, but as awesome as I will not get the former cropper credit that I deserve. I will not get that from these people. I deserve to have a monument in the park. This is not me being arrogant. It's the truth, because of what I stood up to. You know what I mean? But what I stood up to and what I was dealing with and what I've exposed, that is very important. This is an issue. What I proved as well. This is not me being arrogant. I'm literally going back into all this whole story and picking it apart little by little, okay? So it's important for me to leave something in this earth, okay? Because I have been cheated and duped out of my legacy in my past life. And in this life, as small as what I'm asking, as small as like is what I'm asking is, this is important to me. Now, some people might call it like, oh, this is Maria created a church because this is, she's trying to, come against the Christian. I'm not coming against, these people came against me. The word was out when I was a kid that I was some sort of antichrist or whatever, only because I came from a line of Egyptian and Ethiopian blooded people who obviously had different custom standards and originated in different belief systems, okay? From what I understand, Prince Alamehu did practice Christianity. He was a form of Christianity, okay? And his family was. That doesn't mean that he necessarily agreed with it. He was only 7 years old when he was captured. I don't know, but what I believe is he was pointing out the hypocrisy of that. A lot of people, within the Christian faith have an interest in some form of the occult. I know Pentecostal people who truly believe in the Holy Spirit, who speak tongues. Okay, that is a metaphysical force entering in somebody, and then there's somebody who claims that they can actually interpret that. You see what I'm saying? It's like some Christian sects tend to be very focused on the metaphysical side of it. Some are completely accepting, and I do understand. What some people follow, the Bible. The Bible does talk about dealing with the occult. There are some forms of the occult that are outright, condemned. You're not supposed to engage in them. Okay, like, I mentioned necromancy before, basically screwing dead bodies and taking shit from them. That stuff is weird. There's a lot of things about the occult that are weird, but there are certain things that we do. And I'm not just talking, when I say we, and I'm talking about our culture, I'm talking about each person, every individual person who has a particular culture has some sort of root in the the magical systems. They did, okay, because that's what people did, okay, before the people got into religion, or were kind of coerced into the conversion, okay. And when I say the conversion, like the mainstream religions, this is what I choose to do. This is not like I know that when I used to be on YouTube many years ago, there was a lot of people who who I was communicating with, who subscribed to me, and I subscribed to them, and a lot of times I would spend time talking to them on the phone. I actually had a social life for a very short period of time, in like 2 years, okay, within a 2 year span, and it was actually quite nice. Things were going really well, and then I got hit with this bullshit, right? So my thing about making instructional videos and trying to encourage other people to get their own sense of spirituality in conjunction with possibly their religion if they choose to. I don't sit here and tell people what God to pray to. That's their choice. Whether that be based on their ethnic background, because there were deities, there were gods that belonged to just about every background. Okay, because everybody has their own gods. Okay, so they could do that if they are comfortable speaking or praying to Jesus, and that's what I'm doing. This is not something that anybody has ever done before. Okay, I like I said, my origins are of being a clone, and a very unwanted clone by both my family and obviously my blood relations, and there was some sort of sick, weird shit that went on in my life. Here I am, 53 years old, okay? I've been forced out of the work system due to the fact that I am disabled. I am somebody who tries very hard to take care of themselves because I understand that there were some campaigns against somebody of my bloodline. So my life needs to continue on. What do? I am a 53-year-old woman. I have nothing saved for retirement. I have never been able to work in a company because of the mobbing for consistent periods of time, and also their plan. The thing is, they never had plans for me to ever settle down into just one job so that I could possibly ever work there that long. Okay, so I have no retirement. I have none. So what are my options? You know what I mean? My options are to take care of myself. And I wanted to do this once on my assessment, but not necessarily call it that, right? But I did want to, doing, like, throw myself more into videos, relating to this topic. The paranormal, the occult, if you will, is a realm where I feel most comfortable. Because obviously, I will tell you, my life on the earth has always been some sort of upward struggle. If you can't trust people, it's going to be pretty bad. Okay, it's going to be terrible. Okay, so I feel as though the weird, the odd, the strange, the mystical tends to keep my attention more so than what goes on TV. I don't really care what goes on around me anymore. It's like I don't care. But what it is like, this is me being a pioneer in my own field, meaning like there is no one else who's done this. Now, don't get me wrong. There are women and men, a combination of a bunch of people right now who are older, okay, and maybe they had some sort of 401k savings plan that they consistently contributed to. At least they can pull that out and kind of tide themselves over. Okay, good for you. You are very lucky. I had a retirement account a few years ago. I think it was like in 2008 or something. Unfortunately, I had to use that when the last time that I ended up getting mobbed and had to live throughout the summer, okay, which I did also get that, and I also got disability because I had to go see these people in one of those, like, Kaiser facilities where, if you leave for work because of, like, you're just like burnt out, disabled, whatever, they send you to these counseling sessions to where you talk about your problems at work. And then after the session, you lined up and you got these prescription meds. Now, at the time, I was still going to the doctor, and taking care of stuff like that because I wasn't really sure. I don't like to go to doctors, okay? My father, I believe, was given his illnesses either over time or somehow or another it was through that system. Okay? They also discovered his past lives through that system. Okay? And they confirmed a lot of stuff while I was within that system. I remember getting injected with something in my thigh without my consent in that system. And I'm referring to the medical system. I'm a little leery of it, okay? But anyway, yeah, I'm a pioneer in my field, meaning that my story is unique. So it goes along with who I am, my lifestyle. Okay, like I said, I mentioned that I did wish that it would be great if I could. I want to excel in this because like I said, it's my vision. But I would like to be able to have like an RV so I could like drive around the United States, and maybe do what they call paranormal investigations. I have such a craving right now to go into abandoned buildings and look at old cemeteries and weird stuff like that. I have that in me right now, and I'm practically drooling to do it. And it would be cool if I could meet up with other people, like, who want to go on the tour as well. Like, maybe they are people who do videos on YouTube or whatever, and they're like, hey, I'm going to be here in whatever, or New Mexico, can you pick me up or whatever. Of course, I would need to know who they are a little bit more, but these are the sort of things that I envision because I need that sort of stimulation. I am not content with my life as it is. I've always been this way. Okay, and like I said, this is what happens when you play you play with nature. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, you bring someone like me around, and it's like, I have different needs, okay, obviously. But I am going to be a pioneer in my own field, meaning this is not something that anyone's ever done before. And I understand why people are like, well, what the hell is she doing? I'm doing my dream, is basically what I'm doing. Let's see here. Yeah, and then so basically what I'm doing is I'm exploring territories that other people have not explored. Now, like I said, there are people my age who are going into business for themselves, and this is pretty much what I look at what I'm doing as, kind of going into business for myself, meaning that I'm hoping that people will support me on Patreon, and and then I will be able to support their needs by giving learning and instruction videos, and this is what I choose to do. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't like the tampering with any of my social platforms. It's very important that people know who I am. Okay. And I know people know who I am. I know they do. But this is the purpose of it. I don't, in this case, since this whole thing has something to do with me and my life, because it's a testament to my life at some point down the road. I'm hoping that it will be. And this is how I live. It's not, I'm not going to live based off the modifications of what other people have planned for me. Why? Because that's not the story of Maria Gordon. You know what I mean? That's not the story of me. And so it's important for me to be able to present my material as it is. Don't get me wrong, I do want to improve the quality of my videos, experiment with different things. Like I had told you, I would love to get some new equipment. I'm not really completely familiar with all the things out there, okay, but I know that if you want to progress and you want to, get better, you're going to experiment and, of course, upgrade on equipment as needed. What else do I want to say? Yeah, my life is a singular path, meaning, I'm a very unique person, because of this situation. It is different. I'm different than the majority of 53-year-old women, regardless of the fact, regardless of race. Take it, that this act like race didn't even matter. You're just a person, whatever. Most 53-year-old people are concerned with things that, I don't have to deal with. But this is what my life brings me. I have people like, people who want to exploit me, people who want to abuse me, okay? And this is a part of how trafficking works, okay? Um, I, I'm just a person who wants to finally break free of the trafficking, meaning like I want my freedom back. And I want to use the rest of this time however long it is, because I plan on making videos until the day I die. However long it this is what this Swan Song Manifesto pretty much is. And I want to cover a lot in it, you know. And so, you know, because this is also, you know, I mentioned that it's a singular path. It's like, I'm not, I'm not, it doesn't allow me, you know, I have no interest in trying to compete with anybody because there's nothing to compete for. Um, it's not based on the success or the failure of other people performing something or outperforming me. Because, like I said, this is a situation that I'm in. This is who I am. This is my story. You know, it's not about, you know, one-upping somebody, okay? It's about a practical decision that satisfies both needs, hopefully, monetarily as well as emotionally and, you know, financially, which I think that's balance, okay? Will that make me happy? Possibly no. Okay, it's not going to. I'm never ever going to be completely happy. You know, I don't think anybody who's dealt with trauma has no real trust in people. Your life can't possibly be happy. Okay, but you could at least kind of be content, pacified a little bit, you know, but happy is kind of a far stretch. But anyway, I just wanted to come on here and make this video because I know that there's been issues going on, and of course, you know, I do try to keep the content between YouTube and what I do on post on Patreon separate. And Patreon is based on scripts that are written by me, meaning like I go through these scripts, I find like, you know, different images, I recite certain things. I write it all out and record it, fuck it up a couple of times, and then record it again, you know, until I get it right. So it's not just me just like running my mouth, unless of course I'm like doing like a demonstration or something like that. But the topics, you know, the Patreon is very specific. It's going to be like lessons basically and information. Like, you know, I did post a quarterly newsletter on the Patreon, on my Patreon, that's going to cover like 3 months. And what I wanted to do is make it bigger. I wanted to make the newsletter bigger, but see, I'm dealing with issues of the account modifications. I'm dealing with issues, you know, being able to post videos. I'm dealing with all kinds of stagnation right now, and it's been a very long time. And I understand that people behind all of this and how all this works, it makes me ill. It really does make me ill. It's an immediate reaction of something that bothers me. And given the fact that I've been trafficked, you know, you please understand. This is just how I am, you know. And so I deal with issues of, you know, not being able to check my emails, dealing with fear, phobias. You know, like today I did set plans for myself to get in there and answer some emails. Also, I needed to make a few phone calls today, and I just, you know, wanted to shut down. It does affect you. You know, it affects a person psychologically. It's a psychological, what do you call it, scar that it does leave on a person, because you will never trust another human being again. You know, it's just like, you know, you can't help it. But anyway, I do hope that you will support me on my Patreon channel. The information is in my About section. I don't really have in this, what do you call it, I'm not putting it in the description box at the moment. I am basically filming this particular video from my tablet, which does not have the ability to, well, maybe you could finagle a picture in it or whatever, but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up this video, and you know, I hope to come back and make another video sometime later. Okay, take care. Bye bye.